Hello everyone, if you're new to my channel, consider liking and subscribing. It will make me feel wonderful if you do that. Thanks. By the way, I also have another Naruto and Luffy fanfiction channel. If you are interested, link is in the description.
The Pirate King's Family by Straw Hatter 1. A series of one-shots following the lives of Monkey D. Luffy, Boa Hancock, and their daughter, Monkey D. Lucy. Adios.
In the heart of Amazon Lily sat the beautiful palace of the pirate empress, Boa Hancock. The palace, a majestic structure of stone and vibrant flora, stood as a testament to the strength and grace of the Kuja tribe. It was within its grand walls that Lucy, a spirited 5-year-old with eyes as blue as the ocean and an energy that mirrored her father's, found herself on the cusp of an unintended journey. As evening fell, a gentle breeze whispered through her bedroom's open windows, carrying with it the distant, muffled sounds of the Straw Hat crew preparing to depart. Seated on the cool floor of her room, Lucy was entranced by Zephyra, her trusted snake companion, who lay coiled beside her. The snake's scales shimmered in the fading light, mirroring the twinkle of anticipation in Lucy's gaze. Her young mind brimmed with images of the adventures she heard from her father's crew, each more thrilling than the last. She imagined herself at the helm of a ship, the sea spray misting her face, and her father's proud smile guiding her through storms and still waters alike. She knew her father was about to set sail and leave her and her mother once again. The thought caused sadness to fall over her, and in the quiet of her room, a plan began to form in her mind. A plan that was bold and forbidden by her parents. She whispered as she spoke to Zephyra, her voice full of childlike determination. I want to go with Daddy. I want to go on an adventure and be queen of the pirates. Zephyra regarded Lucy with an understanding gaze, her serpentine eyes seeming to grasp the gravity of Lucy's words. In that quiet moment, an unspoken agreement was forged between them. Lucy hastily stuffed a handful of belongings into a small satchel, her movements quick and decisive. She paused at the door of her room, a sudden thought halting her escape. She bit her lip, contemplating, then turned her attention back to Zephyra. What if Salome catches us? She'll alert Mommy, Aunt Mari, and Aunt Sonia and then... Her voice trailed off, the potential obstacle casting a shadow of doubt over her plan. Lucy drew a deep breath, her small chest puffing up with courage. She stepped out of her room, her bare feet silent on the cool stone floor. The first obstacle was the guard stationed at the end of the hallway. She waited until the woman turned away before darting across the corridor and slipping into the shadows. She navigated the maze of corridors with the familiarity of a child who had played hide and seek in these very shadows. Each turn took her closer to freedom, and with every successful pass by the guards, her confidence grew. As she neared the throne room, the sound of her aunt's voices drifted toward her. Lucy pressed herself against the wall, edging along until she found a tapestry she could hide behind. She held her breath as Mari and Sonia walked by, deep in conversation about the evening's duties. Moving with as much stealth as she could muster, Lucy made her way to the main foyer, a place she knew she had to cross to reach the gardens and, beyond them, the docks. Salome was known to patrol this area before turning in for the night in Hancock's room to watch over her as she slept. Lucy spotted the huge, elegant serpent near the entrance. She glanced at Zephyra, whose eyes seemed to be full of understanding. Zephyra slithered to Salome and momentarily distracted her with a display like she was going to play fight. Seizing the moment, Lucy scurried across the foyer, her heart pounding like drumbeats in her chest. Once outside, she sprinted across the gardens, her destination nearly in sight. The scent of the sea filled her nose, the promise of adventure beckoning her forward. With the docks within reach, Lucy clutched Zephyr close, a sense of victory washing over her. She had slipped past the watchful eyes of the Kuja warriors, slipped unseen past her vigilant aunts, and outmaneuvered the ever-perceptive Salome. Reaching the moored Thousand Sunny, Lucy carefully scanned the area. The ship buzzed with activity as the Straw Hats made their final preparations to set sail. She waited for a lull in the movement, and then, with Zephyra's aid, she stealthily climbed the gangplank, which had been momentarily deserted as the crew bustled about. Once aboard, Lucy darted between stacks of supplies and navigated her way below deck, guided by the dim lighting. Her small stature and the noise of the crew above worked in her favor, allowing her to move unseen. The bowels of the ship were a labyrinth of machinery and storage, But Lucy had listened well to the stories about her father's ship and knew that Frankie's cola supply would be stored in a less frequented part of the hold. It was the perfect place to remain hidden, surrounded by the mountain of barrels and crates that filled the room. With Zephyra's silent slithering leading the way, Lucy found a cozy nook behind several large barrels of cola. The space was cramped but hidden from casual view, an ideal spot for a game of hide and seek, and now, for a stowaway. She nestled into her hiding spot, pulling her knees close and wrapping her arms around them. Zephyra coiled around her protectively, her presence a comforting weight. Lucy listened to the muffled sounds of the crew above, her heart racing with both apprehension and excitement. After Lucy was settled into the cramped space behind the barrels, her heart raced with a mix of excitement and a twinge of fear. She wondered what the open sea would be like and whether she could truly be a pirate like her father. The thrill of adventure mingled with a slight apprehension about the unknown. The sun had barely risen, casting a soft light through the portholes of the Thousand Sunny, when Lucy's stomach rumbled, pulling her from the cocoon of crates where she had spent the night. She gently untangled herself from Zephyra, who uncoiled with a quiet hiss. "Time to find some breakfast," Lucy whispered to her scaly companion, tiptoeing towards the galley, hopeful to find something to eat without being noticed. Meanwhile, back on Amazon Lily, the morning's peace was shattered by a discovery that sent ripples of panic through the palace. Hancock, having noticed the unusual silence from Lucy's room, went to check on her daughter, expecting to find her fast asleep or engrossed in play. Instead, she found an empty bed and Zephyra missing. The realization hit her like a wave. Lucy was gone. "Mari, Sonia," she called out, her voice laced with a rare note of alarm. A silent prayer accompanied her shout. I hope her daughter was merely with her sisters, perhaps lost in play, and not truly missing as her instincts feared. On the Thousand Sunny, 9-year-old Rorinoa Olivia was up and about. She was in the midst of her own adventure, a treasure hunt Frankie and Nami had devised for her, when she heard a soft rustle near the kitchen. Curiosity piqued, she followed the sound and stumbled upon the small figure of Lucy, rummaging through a low cupboard. "Lucy," Olivia gasped, her surprise evident. "What are you doing here? Uncle Sanji will be here at any minute." Lucy's heart sank as Olivia continued to stare at her in surprise. A rush of emotions flooded through her, fear of being sent back, embarrassment at being caught, and a flicker of hope that Olivia might understand her longing for adventure. "I snuck on before Sunny left. I wanted to be with Daddy," she confessed, her lip quivering at the thought of being discovered so soon. Olivia hesitated for a moment, torn between the need to inform her parents and a desire to help her friend with her adventure. With a resolute sigh, she decided to help Lucy, hoping they could find a way to keep her safe on board. "Okay, don't worry. I won't tell. But you have to stay hidden. If my mom finds out, she'll tell your mom, and then..." Lucy nodded, understanding the gravity of her situation. Olivia quickly helped her gather some food before guiding her back to her hiding spot. As they settled Lucy back into her makeshift hideaway, Olivia reassured her, "I'll come check on you later, okay? With the promise made, Olivia slipped out, leaving Lucy with her thoughts and the sound of Zephyra's steady breathing. She nibbled on the food, her mind racing with the possibilities of what lay ahead and the inevitable moment when her absence would be discovered. On Amazon Lily, that moment had already arrived. Hancock, her face full of worry, had rallied her warriors. Plans were being made, orders given, and within the hour, a search party was preparing to scour the island. As the sun started to set on the open sea, Olivia was embarking on a covert operation. With the Straw Hats' dinner concluded and the crew dispersing to their evening activities, she saw her chance. She slipped extra fruit and bread onto the plate, her movements casual to any onlooker's eye. With the food concealed beneath a napkin, she sidestepped her way back to the lower decks, her heart thumping with the thrill of her secret mission. Unbeknownst to Olivia, her mother, Robin, watched her retreat with a thoughtful gaze, Robin's keen intuition whispering that something was amiss. After waiting a few moments, Robin excused herself from the crew and followed the path Olivia had taken, wondering why her daughter was going to the storage room. Waiting a few moments, she turned around to head to her and Zoro's shared room. Inside the storage room, Lucy greeted Olivia with a hushed giggle, pleased by the success of their clandestine efforts. "Did you get caught?" Lucy whispered, her eyes alight with excitement and a hint of mischief. Olivia shook her head, her confidence brimming. "Nope. I was super sneaky," she replied, sharing the food with Lucy. Together, they shared a quiet, makeshift meal, with Lucy conscientiously offering pieces to Zephyra, mindful that her reptilian friend needed food too. Moments later, Robin was in her shared room with Zoro, who was cleaning his swords. "Zoro," Robin began, her voice carrying some concern. "I think Olivia is up to something. She's been acting rather unusual this evening." As she spoke, Robin moved across the room to where their son Kenji lay sleeping. She brushed a soft kiss on his forehead and smiled down at his sleeping form. "Unusual how?" he asked, his brow furrowing slightly as he looked up from his swords. Robin stood by Kenji's crib as she spoke quietly. "She's taken extra food from dinner, and she had a look in her eyes. Like she was hiding something. It's not like her to be secretive." Zoro's eyes remained fixed on Robin, sensing the gravity behind her observations. "Do you think she's hiding something, or is she just playing?" "I'm going to find out," Robin declared with a resolve that left no room for debate. "Keep an eye on Kenji, would you? I'll return shortly." With a nod of acknowledgement, Zoro watched Robin exit, a slight smile touching his lips at her protective nature. As their impromptu meal finished, Olivia glanced around the corner. "All right. Let's get you to my room. This way if you need anything tonight, I can help," she plotted. Side by side, they crept quietly along the ship's passageways, Olivia guiding Lucy and Zephyra with hushed excitement. Their shadows danced on the walls as they navigated the dimly lit corridors. Approaching Olivia's room, Olivia gently nudged the door, its hinges creaking in the silence. In that moment, a flicker of uncertainty crossed Olivia's face, a stark contrast to her earlier confidence. The sight that greeted them halted Olivia in her tracks. There, sitting calmly on her bed with an open book in her lap, was Robin. Her eyes, sharp and knowing, lifted from the pages to meet theirs. The room, usually a haven of privacy and solace, suddenly felt like a stage under a spotlight. Olivia's mind raced for an explanation, but words seemed to escape her. "Mom, I was just," she stammered, her confidence faltering under Robin's gentle but inquisitive gaze. Lucy, sensing the change in atmosphere, clung a little tighter to Zephyra. The snake, sensing her human friend's distress, coiled protectively around Lucy. In that moment, Lucy looked every bit the scared, adventurous child she was, caught in the midst of a grand plan that was quickly unraveling. Robin, ever observant, noted Lucy's discomfort. She set her book aside and patted the bed beside her, a gesture of invitation and understanding. "Come here, both of you. Let's talk about this," she said softly, her voice devoid of any harshness. Olivia led Lucy over to the bed, the latter hesitantly climbing onto it and sitting beside Robin. There was a maternal warmth in Robin's eyes that seemed to envelop them, offering a silent assurance of safety. "Lucy," Robin began, turning to face the young girl, "I understand the excitement of adventure, but there are people who care about you deeply and who are likely very worried right now." Lucy's eyes, brimming with tears, met Robin's. The enormity of her actions was beginning to dawn on her, the adventure she had dreamt of now shadowed by the reality of a mother's concern. Sensing her need for comfort, Robin gently lifted Lucy onto her lap, wrapping an arm around her small frame. "You're safe here with us, Lucy," Robin reassured, her hand soothingly stroking Lucy's back, much like she would do with her own children. "But we need to think about how your mother might be feeling." Lucy sniffled, leaning into Robin's embrace. "I just wanted to be with Daddy," she mumbled, her voice muffled against Robin's shirt. Robin nodded, understanding the depth of a child's longing. "I know, sweetheart. But running away like this can cause a lot of worry. Your mother loves you very much, and she must be very anxious not knowing where you are." Meanwhile, Zoro, having been informed by Robin's clone, made his way to inform Luffy of the situation. The captain needed to know that his daughter was aboard, unbeknownst to them all. Reaching the top deck, Zoro found Luffy at the helm, his eyes on the vast expanse of the ocean ahead. The captain's usual carefree demeanor was evident, but Zoro knew it was about to be disrupted. "Luffy," Zoro called out, his tone more serious than usual. Luffy turned, his trademark straw hat tilting slightly. "What's up, Zoro?" "It's Lucy," Zoro said, getting straight to the point. "Robin found her. She's here, on the Sunny. Luffy's expression shifted from amusement to surprise, then concern. Lucy's here, on the ship? How did she? She stowed away, Zoro explained. Olivia was trying to keep her hidden. Luffy looked down with a mix of fatherly worry and disbelief in his eyes. Why would she do something like that? Hancock's gotta be worried sick. As the men started walking to Olivia's room, a thought hit Luffy. He paused, scanning the deck for his navigator. Nami, he called out, his voice carrying across the ship. Hearing her name, Nami emerged from below deck with a curious look. What's going on, Luffy? She inquired, approaching him. Luffy met her with a mix of urgency and concern. Nami, we need to contact Hancock. Tell her Lucy is here, that she stowed away. What do I tell her if she wants to come get Lucy immediately? She questioned, already wondering the outcome of the request. Luffy thought for a second, how far are we from the next island? We're about a day and a half sail from it. We can stay there because we'll need to wait a few days for the log post to set anyway, Nami explained, her mind swiftly calculating their course. That's what we'll do. Ask Hancock to meet us at that island, Luffy decided, turning to continue his walk with Zoro to Olivia's room. As Luffy and Zoro made their way to Olivia's room, the seriousness of the situation began to settle in. This was no ordinary day at sea. It was a moment that would require Luffy to balance his roles as both captain and father, a challenge he was ready to face for the sake of his daughter. Inside the room, Robin continued to comfort Lucy, who was worried about her mother being upset. Will mommy hate me after this? Lucy asked quietly, her head resting on Robin's shoulder. Robin held Lucy a little tighter, trying to comfort her how she would. Your mommy would never think or say that. I promise. Robin replied as she continued to rub soothing circles on Lucy's back. As Luffy and Zoro entered, they found Robin cradling a visibly upset Lucy, with Olivia sitting close by, her expression a mix of worry and guilt. Zoro knelt down, his gaze meeting Olivia's. Olivia, why didn't you come to me or your mom about this? More important, why didn't you tell Luffy? We need to be able to trust each other on this ship. His voice calm but authoritative. What if something bad happened to Lucy and we didn't know she was here? You know how serious that could be? Robin looked over to Zoro and then Olivia as she continued cradling Lucy. Olivia, keeping a secret like this could have been very dangerous, she said softly but firmly. It's important to understand the risks involved in having a stowaway on board, especially when it's someone as young as Lucy. Olivia's eyes were downcast, the gravity of her decision weighing heavily on her. I'm sorry, I didn't want my friend to get in trouble, she murmured, her voice full of guilt. Robin reached out, wrapping an arm around Olivia and pulling her close to her side. We understand you wanted to help, but there are safer ways to do that. Always remember, safety comes first, for everyone on this ship. At that moment, Luffy stepped in, his expression a blend of concern and relief. Lucy, what you did was really brave, but also really risky, he said, addressing his daughter. You gave everyone a big scare, especially your mom. Lucy looked up at her father, tears brimming in her eyes again. I just wanted to be with you, Daddy, she said, her small voice barely above a whisper. Luffy gently crouched down so he was eye to eye with Lucy. Lucy, I love that you want to spend time with me, and believe me, I miss you a lot. But you know your mom and I agreed that it's best for you to stay on Amazon Lily. Being a pirate isn't just adventure. It can be really dangerous. We need to think about what's best for our family, okay? Robin, observing the exchange, turned to Zoro with a look of mild surprise. She was quietly impressed by the depth of insight and paternal care Luffy was showing. It was a side of their captain that wasn't often in the spotlight, overshadowed by his usual carefree and adventurous demeanor. Luffy carefully lifted Lucy from Robin's embrace and held her close, offering a comforting hug. Let's go see if Nami has talked to Hancock, he said, his voice gentle yet carrying a father's resolve. Lucy wrapped her arms around her father's neck, a mix of relief and apprehension in her small form. Together, they stepped out of Olivia's room while the Roronoa family stayed behind to discuss what happened. The pair made their way to find Nami. They found her next to the transponder snail, a serious expression on her face as her hand hovered over the snail. She looked up as Luffy entered with Lucy in his arms. Nami, did you speak to Hancock? Luffy asked, the concern Hancock evident in his tone. Nami gave a nod, her expression tinged with a respectful apprehension that Hancock often instilled in others. "Yes, I did." She was, understandably upset, but relieved to know Lucy is safe. "She wanted to speak with you once you were finished talking with Lucy." Nami gestured towards the transponder snail. Luffy nodded, carefully setting Lucy down beside him. He took a deep breath before calling Hancock again. Hancock didn't hesitate to answer, but before she could say anything Luffy spoke. "Hancock, I'm really sorry about this. Lucy snuck aboard when we were leaving." Hancock's voice came through, laced with relief and frustration. "Darling, please make sure she stays safe. I'm arranging for the Kuja ship to set sail within the hour. Can you inform us where you will be on the next island?" Luffy reassured her, "She's safe with us, don't worry. I'll get Nami to tell you where we are once we dock. We'll discuss everything once I arrive. Please, Luffy, make sure no harm comes to her, if anyone tries to harm our baby. You know I'll protect her, Hancock. No one will lay a hand on her," Luffy replied firmly. "Thank you, dear. I'll see you soon." Hancock's voice softened, conveying a blend of relief and lingering worry. There was a pause, then she added, "Luffy, may I speak with Lucy for a moment? I need to hear her voice." Luffy glanced down at Lucy, who looked up at him with wide, apprehensive eyes. Understanding the importance of this moment, he handed the receiver to her. "Your mom wants to talk to you," he said gently. Lucy took the receiver hesitantly, her small hand trembling slightly. "Mommy?" she whispered into the receiver, her voice barely above a murmur. "Lucy, my love, are you all right?" Hancock's voice came through, tinged with a mix of relief and concern. The sound of her mother's voice seemed to both comfort and unnerve Lucy. "I'm okay, Mommy. I'm sorry I scared you," Lucy replied, her voice growing steadier, yet still holding a note of worry about her mother's reaction. Hancock's response was a sigh, a sound that conveyed a world of emotions, relief, love, and the faintest hint of exasperation. "Lucy, we'll talk more when I get there. I love you." "I love you too, Mommy," Lucy murmured, a sense of reassurance beginning to replace her anxiety. After the call ended, Lucy looked up at her father, her eyes searching his for reassurance. Luffy, understanding the turmoil of emotions his daughter was experiencing, knelt down to her level. "You see, Lucy? You need to tell your mom and I if you plan to do something like this. We need to be with you because we want to make sure you stay safe," he said, his voice a mix of firmness and warmth. Lucy nodded, the importance of her father's words sinking in, as she began to understand the gravity of her actions and the love that motivated her parents' concern. Lucy nodded, her young face solemn with understanding. Nami stepped forward, placing a comforting hand on her shoulder. "You want something to eat, kiddo? Let's go ask Sanji if he can make you some food." With that, Lucy gripped Nami's hand and followed her to the kitchen. As they settled into the galley, with Lucy finally getting a proper meal, the ship sailed on through the calm sea towards the island where they would reunite with Hancock. The Thousand Sunny had been anchored off the coast of a serene, summer island for about a day. The sun hung high in the sky, casting a warm glow over the sandy beaches and lush vegetation. On the shore, Luffy and Lucy sat side by side, watching the gentle waves lap against the sand. Lucy's demeanor had shifted to one of apprehension as the reality of facing her mother's reaction loomed closer. "Do you think Mommy will be very mad?" Lucy asked, her voice tinged with worry as she drew patterns in the sand with her fingers. Luffy, sitting beside her, put an arm around her shoulders. "Your mom might be a little upset, but she loves you a lot, Lucy. She's just worried about you," he reassured her, giving her a gentle squeeze. Lucy leaned into her father, comforted by his presence. To distract her from her worries, Luffy pointed out to the sea. "Look at those dolphins over there, Lucy. They're having fun, it looks like they're playing." Lucy's eyes brightened as she spotted the playful creatures, a smile breaking through her anxious expression. "They're playing tag." Luffy chuckled. "How about we play tag while we wait? Bet you can't catch me." Lucy's smile widened at the challenge. "Yes I can," she exclaimed, her momentary fears forgotten as she engaged in the light-hearted competition. As Luffy ran from Lucy, their laughter and playful banter filled the air, creating a bubble of joy around them. Luffy was determined to keep Lucy's spirits up, to show her that despite the seriousness of her actions, she was still loved and cherished. In the distance, the silhouette of the Kuja ship appeared on the horizon, growing steadily closer. Luffy glanced at it, knowing the moment of reckoning was near. But for now, he focused on making these moments with happy memories that would overshadow the day's earlier tensions. The sun continued its path across the sky, casting a warm, golden light on the father and daughter as they enjoyed their time together. The laughter, the sound of the waves, and the soft rustle of the palm trees formed a peaceful backdrop to their little adventure, a brief respite before the inevitable reunion. As the Kuja ship approached, Lucy stood quietly beside Luffy, her eyes fixed on the approaching vessel. Her small hand gripped his tightly, betraying her nervous anticipation. Luffy picked up his daughter and hugged her tight. "Lucy, your mom might be upset, but she cares about you a lot. She's just worried," he reminded her, his tone gentle. As the ship finally anchored near the beach, Hancock appeared on the deck, her presence commanding even from a distance. She descended the gangplank with a swift, purposeful stride, her eyes immediately locking onto Lucy. Luffy, sensing her growing anxiety, rubbed Lucy's back reassuringly. "It's okay to be a little scared, but it's also important to face up to what you've done, alright?" Lucy nodded, biting her lip. "Daddy, I just wanted to be with you," she admitted, her voice tinged with regret. "I didn't mean to scare Mommy." As Hancock approached them, her strides determined yet urgent, Lucy's heart raced. Hancock's eyes softened upon seeing her daughter, and she immediately wrapped Lucy in a firm, yet loving embrace. "Oh, Lucy," Hancock whispered, relief and concern mingling in her voice. "Do you have any idea how worried I was, the thought of losing you?" Lucy, wrapped in her mother's embrace, felt a swell of emotions. "I'm sorry, Mommy. I didn't mean to scare you. I just wanted to go on an adventure." Releasing Lucy from the hug, Hancock knelt to be at eye level with her. Her eyes were earnest, reflecting a depth of emotion. "Lucy, adventures are thrilling, but they come with dangers you're not ready for. I need you to understand that. It's not just about the thrill, it's about being safe and responsible." Luffy, joining in, added, "Your mom's right. We face real dangers and we need to be prepared." Lucy looked from her mother to her father, the weight of their words sinking in. "I didn't think about the danger. I just wanted to be with you, Daddy, and have stories to tell like you." Hancock took Lucy's hand, holding it gently. "I know you want adventure, but there's a time for everything. Right now, you need to be safe and learn. When you're older, who knows? Maybe then you can join us on an adventure." Luffy ruffled Lucy's hair affectionately. "Until then, we've got plenty of stories to share with you. And maybe we can have some small adventures on Amazon Lily, yeah?" Lucy's expression brightened slightly, comforted by their words and reassured by their presence. "I promise I won't do that again," she said, a newfound understanding in her young eyes. The incident had been a learning experience for Lucy and a reminder for Hancock and Luffy of the delicate balance between adventure and safety, freedom and responsibility. The sound of the gentle waves of the sea were a soothing reminder of the ever-present call of adventure and the enduring strength of their family's love. In the heart of Amazon Lily, the Kuja Palace was abuzz with excitement. Word had spread that Luffy, the infamous Straw Hat Pirate, was soon to arrive for a visit. In the midst of this frenzy was Boa Hancock, who decided to begin her day with a calming bath, a ritual that always seemed to stir a certain frenzy in the palace. Her daughter, Lucy, only 4 years old, watched with wide-eyed curiosity as the palace maids scurried about, ushering everyone out of the vicinity of her mother's chambers. She tugged at the hem of her Aunt Mary's skirt, her voice filled with innocent confusion. "Why does everyone have to leave when Mommy takes a bath?" Mari gently guided Lucy away, her tone soothing. "Your mother will explain it to you when the time is right," she reassured, attempting to redirect Lucy's attention. "Now, where's Zephra?" Lucy glanced around, momentarily distracted. "She's sleeping in my room. Can I go get her and then we can go play?" There was a brief pause as Mari considered, then she nodded. "All right, but come back here, and then we'll head out, deal?" Lucy beamed and nodded enthusiastically before dashing off towards her room in search of her snake companion. Mari watched her go, a protective gaze lingering on the young princess as she navigated through the excitement-filled palace. As Lucy scurried to her room, her thoughts were a whirlwind of curiosity. She found Zephra curled up in her favorite spot, but instead of scooping up her snake companion, Lucy paused. The unanswered question about her mother's bath lingered in her mind. With Zephyr left behind, Lucy made a decision. She would find her mother and ask her directly. In her quest for answers, Lucy's determination led her back towards the palace bath, the private sanctum where her mother sought solace. The room, a place of serene beauty and quiet reflection, was guarded with a diligence born of both tradition and necessity. As Lucy approached, her steps light with the stealth only a child could muster, her path was intercepted by a vigilant presence. Sonia, tasked with ensuring the Empress's privacy, stood as a barrier to the curious young princess. With a keen eye for detail, Sonia caught sight of Lucy attempting to navigate past her. Lucy, Sonia's voice, warm yet imbued with an authority that carried no room for argument, halted the young girl in her tracks. "Where do you think you're going?" Caught in the act, Lucy's adventure seemed to come to an early end. Yet, the encounter was marked not by reprimand but by understanding. Sonia, recognizing the spark of curiosity in Lucy's eyes, offered a compromise. "Let's find your Aunt Mari. She's planning to take you outside. The gardens are beautiful this time of day, and Zephyr would love the sunlight," she suggested, her tone leaving room for adventure of a different kind. Reluctantly, Lucy allowed herself to be led away, her questions temporarily set aside for the promise of outdoor play. The gardens of Amazon Lily, lush and vibrant, provided a distraction, their beauty a testament to the island's life force. Mari, upon rejoining Lucy, embraced the opportunity to explore the wonders of their home, guiding Lucy through a morning filled with laughter and discovery. Yet, Lucy's curiosity remained unquenched, a persistent whisper that called her back to the unanswered mysteries of the palace. With the cleverness of a child's ingenuity, Lucy seized a moment of distraction, slipping away from her aunt's watchful gaze to embark on a second journey back to the palace. This time, her approach was marked by an even greater caution, a learned skill from her earlier encounter. The palace, alive with the hustle of preparations and the anticipation of Luffy's visit, provided the perfect cover for a small figure intent on unseen passage. Sonia, her attention divided between her duties and the constant flow of information required to manage such an event, did not notice the shadow that flitted past her once more. Lucy's determination and the day's distractions conspired to grant her access to the forbidden chamber. Within the secluded tranquility of her bath, Hancock allowed the warm waters to envelop her, a rare moment of vulnerability shielded from the world by the palace walls. She believed herself alone, her back to the door, the intricate mark that marred her skin hidden from view. A harsh reminder of a past she wished to keep buried. It was here, in this sanctuary of solitude, that her guard was momentarily lowered. When Lucy's soft voice pierced the silence, it was like a delicate thread pulling at the edges of Hancock's carefully maintained composure. "Mommy, what's that on your back?" The innocence in Lucy's question, free of judgment or fear, struck a chord deep within Hancock's heart. The sudden intrusion and the unexpected exposure of her most guarded secret sent a jolt of panic through Hancock. With swift movements, she reached for her silk robe, her hands trembling as she sought to cover the mark that spoke of a time filled with pain and subjugation. "Lucy, you shouldn't be here," she managed to say, her voice wavering between surprise and a gentle reprimand, the complex emotions of fear, protection, and a mother's love tangling within her. Lost in a sea of memories, Hancock's eyes clouded with unshed tears, her heart aching with a mixture of sorrow and fear. The presence of her daughter, so close and yet so far from the world she had been forced to endure, brought an overwhelming sense of protectiveness. She barely registered Lucy's approach, her small form moving with quiet determination until she stood directly in front of her mother, her little arms raised in a silent plea for comfort, for understanding. It was Lucy's unspoken request, her simple need for her mother's embrace, that pierced through the fog of Hancock's turmoil. The sight of her daughter, so vulnerable and yet so resilient, reignited the flame of strength that had guided Hancock through the darkest times. With a deep, steadying breath, she brushed away the tears that threatened to fall, reminded once again of the reason she fought so hard to overcome her past. Gently lifting Lucy into her arms, Hancock enveloped her in a hug that served as a silent promise of protection. Lucy's voice, soft but laden with concern, cut through the thick tension. "Don't cry, Mommy," she urged, looking into Hancock's eyes with a depth of empathy far beyond her years. As Lucy wrapped her small arms around her mother's neck, the gesture was more than just a child's attempt to offer comfort. It was a beacon of unconditional love and trust. "It's okay, Mommy. I'm here," she whispered as she tried to mimic the same comfort and words that her mother gives her. Hancock's embrace tightened, the simplicity of Lucy's words weaving a small cocoon of solace around her heart. "Thank you, my little princess," she whispered back, her voice heavy with emotion, each word soaked in gratitude and love. "But Mommy, what is it?" Lucy's inquiry resurfaced, her voice a mix of curiosity and unease, as she sought to understand the mark that had brought her mother such sorrow. With a deep breath, Hancock found the courage to peel back the layers of her past, explaining the origin of the mark with a gentleness that belied the pain it represented. "It's a mark from my past, Lucy, from a time when I was about 12 years old. It was something beyond my control," she shared, her voice a soft echo of resilience. Lucy's worry was palpable, her eyes wide with concern. "Did it hurt when you got it?" she asked, her innocence grappling with the concept of pain inflicted on those she loves. The question stirred a whirlwind of memories within Hancock, each one a sharp reminder of the cruelty she had endured. "Yes, it was painful, my dear. And it was done by people who were very cruel," Hancock admitted, her voice a whisper of the agony she had once faced. "But why would anyone want to hurt you, Mommy? You're good." Lucy struggled to reconcile the idea of her loving mother being subjected to such harshness. "It's a complicated story, my love," Hancock replied, the sorrow of remembrance. "Those people thought they could own us, but your aunts and I managed to escape with some help. Now we're free and we get to be with you." As Lucy processed her mother's words, a shadow of fear crossed her face, her small body tensing in Hancock's arms. "Does it still make you sad?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Sometimes," Hancock confessed, allowing herself a moment of vulnerability. "But being with you, thinking about your father, and our life here helps me heal." The fear in Lucy's eyes gave way to a deeper worry, her voice trembling as she voiced a fear that had just taken root in her heart. "Will I ever get a mark like that?" The question was loaded with the dread of experiencing the same pain her mother had endured. Hancock felt a surge of protective fierceness at the thought, her embrace becoming a fortress against the world's cruelties. "No, my precious girl. I'll always protect you from such harm. Here with me, and when your father is here, you're safe. That's a promise." But Lucy's fear was not easily assuaged. Her eyes, now brimming with tears, searched Hancock's for the assurance she now so desperately needed. "But what if they try to take me?" Hancock cupped Lucy's face in her hand, wiping away the tears with gentle thumb, her gaze locked with her daughter's. "We won't let anyone take you." Lucy's young mind tried to work through all the complexities of her mother's past along with her newfound fears of being taken and receiving that same mark. "I'm glad you're here with me, Mommy." Hancock showered Lucy's cheeks with kisses, eliciting giggles from her daughter as she shared her gratitude. "Every day, I'm grateful for you, Lucy, and your father. You two are my world." Their peaceful moment was abruptly interrupted as the door burst open. Mari and Sonia rushed in, anxiety written across their faces. The urgency of their search for Lucy, who had seemingly run away, was palpable. "Big sis. I can't find Lou," Mary's voice faltered, the worry dissolving into relief at the sight of Hancock holding Lucy safely in her arms. Sonia's expression melted into one of gentle relief upon seeing Lucy. "Oh, Lucy. There you are," she remarked, her voice carrying both relief and a hint of admonishment. Hancock, caught off guard, looked up with a blend of surprise and recognition. "What's the matter?" she asked, her tone even. Mari moved closer, her apology evident in her tone. "I was concerned when Lucy disappeared." Lucy peeked out from her mother's embrace, offering a shy smile to her aunts. "I just wanted to see Mommy," she explained softly. Sonia smiled warmly at her niece. "Just let us know next time, okay? We were worried about you." Hancock's expression softened, a look of gratitude towards her sisters. "Thank you both for looking out for her. However, I would like some quiet time with Lucy." Understanding their inadvertent intrusion, Mari and Sonia exchanged knowing glances. "We'll leave you to it," Mari said, her smile conveying her understanding. "But don't forget, lunch is coming up, and Luffy should be arriving soon after." "We'll join you shortly," Hancock responded with a nod, expressing her thanks. After Mari and Sonia had retreated and closed the door behind them, the tranquility of the room was restored. Hancock turned her attention back to Lucy. "Now, where were we, my dear?" Lucy nestled closer within the secure circle of her mother's arms, comforted once again by her presence. As the room returned to its previous calm, the fleeting disturbance became a distant memory. In this regained peace, the mother and daughter resumed their intimate dialogue, savoring their time together against the backdrop of the palace's ongoing excitement. As the day unfolded, a blend of anticipation and vibrant activity filled the palace. Lunchtime passed in a flurry, but one excitement remained constant: the impending arrival of Lucy's father. Her laughter, a testament to her joy and energy, resonated through the palace, a melody of pure happiness. The announcement of a ship's sighting set the palace abuzz, a signal that the long-awaited moment was near. Lucy's eyes sparkled with anticipation as she clutched Hancock's hand. "He's here, Mommy. Daddy's here," she exclaimed, her voice a mix of excitement and disbelief. Hancock, equally moved by the prospect of Luffy's arrival, shared her daughter's joy, her smile reflecting the warmth in her heart. "Let's go welcome him, Lucy," she said, her voice laced with affection. Together, they made their way to the edge of the island, where a few close friends and palace staff had gathered, all eager to witness the reunion. The sight that greeted them was not the Grand Thousand Sunny, but a smaller, more personal means of arrival: the Mini Mary, skimming gracefully across the water towards the shore. It was just Luffy, making his way to them in the most unassuming yet unmistakably joyful manner. His arms waved wildly as he caught sight of Hancock and Lucy, his grin stretching from ear to ear. The crowd's excitement mirrored Luffy's energy, their cheers welcoming him home. As the Mini Mary reached the shore, Luffy leapt off with his characteristic enthusiasm, landing with a thud. Lucy couldn't contain her excitement. She sprinted towards him, her voice ringing out. "Daddy," she cried, launching herself into his waiting arms. Luffy caught her effortlessly, spinning her around as laughter bubbled between them. "Hey Luce," he declared, his voice warm with affection and the joy of reunion. After setting Lucy down, Luffy's gaze found Hancock, his expression softening, filled with emotions reserved just for her. He approached, wrapping her in a gentle embrace that spoke volumes. "Hey Hancock," he said simply, though his voice carried warmth. The sight of their reunion, heartfelt and devoid of the world's intrusions, drew smiles from those present. It was a moment of pure familial love, celebrated quietly on the shores of Amazon Lily. "Welcome back, darling," Hancock replied, her heart swelling with happiness at having him close once again. Luffy, undeterred by the journey and buoyed by the sight of his loved ones, was eager to make the most of their time together. "So, what's the plan? I can't wait to spend the day with you and Lucy," he asked, his energy infectious. Lucy, seizing the moment, tugged at both her parents' hands. "Let's go explore," she suggested, her voice brimming with excitement. "That sounds fun," Luffy agreed, ruffling her hair affectionately with his free hand. And so, with hands intertwined, they set off, their path lit by the warmth of their reunion and the promise of precious time spent together, just the three of them, under the gentle gaze of Amazon Lily. They visited the lush gardens where Lucy liked to play, the serene lagoon where she learned to swim, and the training grounds where she trained with her snake Zephyra. Luffy listened intently, his pride in his daughter evident in his every reaction. As they walked, Hancock watched the bond between father and daughter, her heart full. The joy of having Luffy on the island, the laughter of Lucy, and the sense of family that enveloped them was more than she had dared to hope for. Soon the sun dipped low, casting Amazon Lily in a warm, golden glow. The trio concluded their leisurely exploration of the island. They returned to the palace, greeted by the vibrant preparations underway. The entire place buzzed with the energy of anticipation, setting the stage for a special dinner to celebrate Luffy's arrival. The palace grounds were alive with activity as the Kuja were busy preparing a lavish feast. The air was rich with the aroma of exotic spices and freshly prepared dishes, hinting at the culinary delights to come. Caught up in the excitement, Lucy tugged at Luffy's hand, her face alight with eagerness. "Daddy, can we go see what they're making? It smells so good." Luffy, always led by his appetite, chuckled in agreement. "Of course, let's go have a look, I'm starving." Hancock, amused by their enthusiasm, called out in a playful "What everything before dinner?" As they ventured into the kitchen, they were warmly greeted by the head chef, known throughout Amazon Lily for her culinary expertise. "Welcome, feel free to look around but mind the Empress words. No tasting until dinner," she said with a smile. Lucy and Luffy marveled at the bustling scene before them, watching as the chefs prepared dish after dish with effortless grace. The kitchen was a whirlwind of activity, yet there was a harmony to the chaos that fascinated them. As the evening approached, the palace's banquet hall was transformed. Tables were adorned with an array of dishes, candles flickered softly, and an atmosphere of warm anticipation filled the air. The dinner unfolded as a celebration of togetherness, with laughter and stories flowing freely. It was a night to honor the bonds that tied them together, a blend of family and friendship that enriched their lives. Lucy, seated between her parents, shared tales of her adventures with Luffy, her voice bubbling with excitement. The conversation turned to dreams and the playful idea of forming a secret club, a testament to the imaginative world children inhabit. As the night wore on, the warmth of the gathering enveloped everyone present. It was a reminder of the strength of their connections, the joy of shared moments, and the beauty of creating memories together. The banquet had ended, and the palace, once alive with the sounds of celebration, now echoed with a serene quietude. In Lucy's bedroom, Hancock, Luffy, and Lucy gathered for a rare family moment. Lucy, still buzzing from the excitement of the day, was nestled between her parents on her bed, her eyes shining with a mix of joy and tiredness. Hancock gently brushed Lucy's hair while Luffy sat beside them, a contented smile on his face. "Did you have fun today, Luce?" Luffy asked, his voice soft in the dimly lit room. "It was amazing, and I loved spending the day with you and Mommy," Lucy replied, her voice tinged with sleepiness. Hancock leaned in, planting a soft kiss on Lucy's head. "We loved spending the day with you too, my love." Luffy, looking at Hancock, then at Lucy, felt a swell of gratitude. "You know, being here with you both. I feel different, in a good way. I love the feeling I get with both of you by me." Hancock's eyes met Luffy's, a shared understanding passing between them as Hancock smiled. Lucy snuggled closer to her parents, feeling the safety and love that enveloped her. "I love you, Mommy and Daddy," she murmured, her eyelids beginning to droop. "We love you too, more than anything," Hancock whispered quietly, her heart full. As Lucy's breathing deepened, signaling her drift into sleep, Hancock and Luffy quietly stood, tucking her in. They stepped out of the room, leaving the door slightly ajar, a sliver of light casting a comforting glow across Lucy's peaceful face. Hancock nodded a silent thanks to the Kuja warriors standing outside of Lucy's room for protection during the night. Settled in their own room now, sitting comfortably on the bed, Hancock leaned into Luffy. She looked at him with gratitude in her eyes. "Luffy, having you here tonight, it means so much. Times like these are truly special." Luffy wrapped an arm around Hancock, the two of them sitting comfortably in the quiet room. "I wouldn't be anywhere else," he said sincerely. After a few moments of silence, Hancock let out a deep sigh, her expression tinged with concern. Lucy saw the mark today. She was so worried. Scared she might get one too, she confessed, her voice laced with a hint of sorrow. "It's been on my mind ever since. What if, one day, she's not under my watchful eye? What if someone tries to take her? Before she could spiral further into her worries, Luffy gently interrupted her train of thought. He carefully pulled her onto his lap, positioning her so she faced him directly. His hands rested reassuringly on her hips, grounding her in the present moment. Hancock found herself momentarily flustered, a rush of emotions swirling within her, reminiscent of the early days of their relationship. She gazed down at Luffy, her heart fluttering in a way only he could incite. Luffy looked up at her, his eyes earnest and full of conviction. "Hancock, you're one of the strongest people I know. Your sisters, your warriors, everyone here on this island, they're all strong. And you know as well as I do that nobody, absolutely nobody, can just come onto Amazon Lily and take our Lucy." His words, sincere and filled with unwavering confidence, resonated deeply within Hancock. She felt a wave of reassurance wash over her, easing the fears that had been clouding her thoughts. Luffy continued, his voice firm. "Together, we're unstoppable. We'll always protect Lucy, no matter what." Hancock's eyes softened, a sense of security enveloping her as she listened to Luffy's reassurances. His presence, his unshakable belief in their strength as a family, brought her a comfort she hadn't realized she needed. She leaned forward, resting her forehead against his. "Thank you, Luffy. Sometimes, I just need to be reminded of that." As Hancock and Luffy shared a moment of solace and reassurance, the quiet of the night enveloped the palace. In their room, their words and shared strength wrapped them in comfort and security, a testament to their unbreakable bond. Meanwhile, Lucy lay in her bed, enveloped by the peaceful stillness of her room. The soft beam of light from the partially open door cast gentle shadows around her, creating a serene atmosphere. However, beneath the tranquility, Lucy's mind was adrift in a sea of thoughts stirred up by the day's revelations. As she slept, her subconscious began to weave those thoughts into dreams. At first, they were innocent, filled with the day's happier memories. But as the night deepened, the tone of her dreams shifted. The image of the mark on her mother's back, which she had seen earlier, emerged in her mind. In her dream, she found herself in unfamiliar surroundings, a sense of dread building within her. Lucy dreamt of shadowy figures looming over her, their hands reaching out. She felt a sharp, stinging sensation on her back, similar to what her mother must have experienced. The fear and helplessness her mother had described earlier in the day came flooding back, manifesting into this vivid nightmare. Startled and scared, Lucy awoke with her heart pounding in her chest. The remnants of the dream clung to her, the fear it evoked still raw. She lay there for a moment, trying not to cry and trying to calm her racing heart, to convince herself it was just a bad dream. But the comfort of her bed couldn't dispel the lingering unease. She needed the reassurance that only her parents could provide. Slipping out of her bed, Lucy tiptoed out of her room, her small feet making almost no sound on the cool floor as tears fell down her cheeks. She made her way through the quiet hallways of the palace, guided by the dim lights. Pushing open the door to her parents' room, she peered inside to find Hancock and Luffy, asleep and peaceful, a stark contrast to the turmoil in her young heart. Lucy approached the foot of her parents' bed hesitantly, the echoes of her nightmare still fresh in her mind. Salome, Hancock's ever-attentive snake companion, was already alert and by Lucy's side. With a gentle motion, Salome coiled around Lucy, aiding her in climbing onto the end of the bed quietly and carefully. "Mommy, Daddy," Lucy uttered, the fear from her dream evident in her tone. Startled by Lucy's soft voice in the dead of night and the sudden weight on the bed, Hancock's eyes opened quickly, focusing on Lucy's silhouette. "What's wrong, my love?" she inquired, sitting up straight, her instincts fully awakened by the worry in Lucy's expression. Luffy, stirred by Hancock's movement and Lucy's voice, turned his attention towards his daughter. His protective nature immediately kicked in, a mix of concern and readiness to act evident in his voice. "Lucy, what's up? Did something happen?" Lucy's tiny hands were clasped together, trembling, cheeks wet with ongoing tears. "I dreamt that a bad man grabbed me and tried to put the same mark on me as Mommy," she stammered, her voice shaking with the vivid fear of her nightmare. Fresh tears spilled over, tracing new paths down her already tear-streaked face. Hancock's heart clenched at her daughter's words, understanding the impact of her earlier revelation. She opened her arms, giving Lucy permission to quickly climb into her embrace. Luffy scooted closer, wrapping his arm around both Hancock and Lucy, forming a shield of comfort for them. He didn't speak, he just let his presence be a comfort to his girls. Hancock stroked Lucy's hair, her touch tender and soothing. "You're safe here. Nothing like that will ever happen to you. We're here to protect you, always," she said softly, her words aimed at dispelling the fear that lingered in Lucy's heart. Lucy burrowed deeper into the embrace of her parents, their combined warmth and the steady rhythm of their heartbeats helping to calm her trembling. She looked up at them, her tear-streaked face illuminated by the soft moonlight filtering through the window. "Can I stay here with you tonight?" she asked, her voice still shaky. Without a moment's hesitation, Hancock responded warmly, "Yes, of course. You can stay here." Luffy, his protective instincts fully engaged, nodded firmly. "We're right here with you, Lucy. You don't have to worry about a thing." His voice was a comforting constant, affirming their unwavering presence by her side. In the safety of her parents' embrace, the darkness of Lucy's nightmare began to fade, replaced by the comfort and love that surrounded her. Hancock and Luffy exchanged a look over Lucy's head, a silent vow reaffirmed in that look to shield their daughter from the harsh realities of their world as much as they could. Gradually, Lucy's eyes fluttered closed, her breathing deepening as she slipped back into a peaceful sleep, this time free from the grip of her earlier fears. Cradling a sleeping Lucy in her arms, Hancock nestled closer within Luffy's embrace, seeking the comfort of his presence. The day's emotions, the joyous reunion, and the warmth of their family gathering had caused fatigue to once again settle over her. Luffy, sensing the shift, tightened his hold, a protective gesture that spoke volumes of his devotion. Hancock allowed the lull of sleep to overtake her, surrendering to the peaceful embrace of dreams. Her breath sinking with the soft sighs of Lucy asleep in her arms. In this moment, the worries of the world seemed distant, held at bay by the strength of their united hearts. The night bore witness to their bond, a family intertwined by love, safeguarded by the silent promises whispered under the night sky. Aboard the Thousand Sunny, as the crew sailed towards a lush island, the atmosphere was abuzz with an unusual flurry of activity. Zoro, usually found napping or training, was instead huddled with Frankie over a heap of materials that ranged from colorful papers to what appeared to be parts in the shape of a heart. Luffy, his curiosity piqued by this odd assembly, bounded over with the agility of a child on a sugar rush. "Hey, Zoro. What's all this?" he asked, pointing at the eclectic collection of parts sprawled across the deck. Zoro, caught off guard, swiftly covered Luffy's mouth with a calloused hand. "Shush. Keep it down, would you?" he said, glancing around to ensure no unintended ears were sprouted within range. "It's a surprise for Robin for Valentine's Day." Under Zoro's firm hand, Luffy's expression turned to one of bewilderment, his question emerging muffled and distorted. "Waff if Valentine's Day?" "Huh?" Zoro, perplexed, lifted his hand from Luffy's mouth, allowing him to speak clearly. Eyes still wide with curiosity, Luffy tilted his head, repeating his question with genuine intrigue. "What is Valentine's Day?" Zoro stared at him, momentarily taken aback. "You're telling me you've got a wife and a kid, and you've never heard of Valentine's Day?" His tone was mixed with surprise and a hint of disbelief, especially given that even he, often the least observant of social customs, understood the significance of the day. "It's a day when people show love and appreciation, usually with gifts like chocolates or flowers," Zoro offered, his explanation straightforward yet marked by his typical terseness. Luffy's brow furrowed in thought, the concept still not quite clicking. "But I show Hancock and Lucy I love them all the time. Do I need to do something special on Valentine's Day too?" Seeing the gears turn in Luffy's head but recognizing the depth of his confusion, Zoro shrugged. "Maybe Robin or Nami can explain better than I can." Following Zoro's advice, Luffy found himself weaving through the corridors of the Thousand Sunny, eventually stopping at Nami's chart table. There, surrounded by navigational tools and maps, Nami was meticulously planning their next course, a collection of heart-shaped chocolates from Sanji scattered nearby. With a sense of urgency, Luffy closed the distance between them. "Nami, what's Valentine's Day?" His inquiry was genuine, tinged with both confusion and a sincere desire to understand. Nami ceased her work, her expression morphing into one of mild shock and amusement. "You're joking, right?" she replied, her disbelief evident. "How do you not know what Valentine's Day is, especially with a wife and daughter in your life?" Luffy's frustration bubbled to the surface as he responded. "Why does everyone keep asking that? It's about showing people you care, isn't it? With chocolates and things?" His grasp on the concept seemed to dangle from fragmented memories of past observations. "Yes, Luffy, it involves chocolates, but Valentine's Day encompasses more than just that. It's a day dedicated to expressing love and showing how much you appreciate someone, something you might want to do for Hancock and Lucy," Nami gently corrected, her voice softening to match the sincerity in Luffy's puzzled gaze. Luffy, perplexed, protested, "But isn't that something I should be doing all the time? Why do we need a special day for it?" His confusion was palpable, struggling to grasp the necessity of a day dedicated to actions he believed should be everyday expressions of love and care. Nami, noticing Luffy's persistent confusion, suggests, "Maybe you should talk to Robin. She might explain it in a way that makes more sense to you." Grateful yet still puzzled, Luffy nods and heads off to find Robin, who is usually found cuddling with her daughter Olivia while enjoying a book in a quiet corner of the ship. Upon finding her, Luffy doesn't hesitate. "Robin, Nami said you could explain Valentine's Day to me. I still don't get why there's a special day for showing love when we should be doing that every day." Robin looks up from her book, a gentle smile playing on her lips. "Ah, Luffy. Valentine's Day is not just about expressing love. It's a tradition that dates back centuries. It's a day when we can make an extra effort to show appreciation and affection. It's true we should express love every day, but Valentine's Day is an opportunity to celebrate it in a special way. Think of it as a day when the whole world pauses to acknowledge the importance of love in all its forms." Luffy listens intently, Robin's words slowly sinking in. "So, it's like a reminder to everyone to not take love for granted?" "Exactly, Luffy," Robin confirms. "And it's also a chance to make grand gestures or small acts of kindness to reaffirm the bonds we share with others." Luffy's expression brightens with understanding. "I see, so, doing something special on Valentine's Day doesn't mean I love them more that day. It's just a different way to show it." Robin nods, pleased with his comprehension. "Yes, Luffy. And it's always the thought and care behind the gesture that counts the most." Feeling enlightened, Luffy's earlier frustration gave way to excitement. "Thanks, Robin. I have the perfect idea now. I'm going to make this Valentine's Day really special for Hancock and Lucy." As Luffy dashes off, filled with newfound determination, Robin returns to her book, a contented smile on her face, knowing she's helped Luffy grasp the beautiful complexity of Valentine's Day. With a newfound resolve and a plan beginning to form in his mind, Luffy eagerly runs to the transponder snail. He dials Hancock with the excitement of a child on a treasure hunt. The moment Hancock answers, Luffy can barely contain his enthusiasm. "Hancock, are you traveling right now? Where are you?" he blurts out, barely giving her a chance to greet him. Hancock, taken aback and momentarily concerned for Luffy's well-being, responds cautiously, "Darling, is everything all right? I'm near Blossomfall Island. What's the matter?" "Great, I've got an idea. Make sure you stay there, okay?" Luffy declared, a burst of joy in his voice. "Is Lucy with you too?" he asked, mindful that many times Hancock chooses to leave their young daughter behind on Amazon Lily for her safety. Caught off guard by Luffy's sudden insistence but warned by his desire to meet, Hancock answers, "Yes, Lucy's with me. It's a brief voyage, so I thought it'd be safe for her to join." "Awesome, don't leave that island, okay?" Luffy presses, the urgency in his voice was laced with excitement. Hancock, her surprise melting into anticipation, assured him, "We'll wait for you, darling. We won't move from this island." "Great, tell Lucy I'm excited to see you both real soon," Luffy exclaims, ending the call with a quickness that leaves Hancock smiling at the snail, touched by his spontaneous affection. With the conversation still buzzing in his ears, Luffy's excitement was palpable as he practically bounded across the deck of the Thousand Sunny. His steps, quick and sure, carried him once again to Nami's navigation station, where she was absorbed in her maps and charts, the heart of the Sunny's course-setting operations. "Nami!" Luffy exclaimed, skidding to a halt beside her. Without pausing for breath, he thrust Hancock's Vivre card into her hands. "We need to go to Blossomfall. Hancock and Lucy are there." His voice carried the urgency of his resolve, a testament to the importance of this sudden detour in their journey. Nami, taken aback by the sudden interruption, looked up at Luffy, then down at the Vivre card. A smile tugged at the corners of her mouth as she recognized the significance of the request. "All right, Captain," she said, her tone mixing amusement with a hint of affection for Luffy's uncharacteristic planning. "Blossomfall it is." She quickly adjusted their course, marking the new trajectory that would lead them to the island where Hancock awaited. With that task swiftly handled, Luffy's next stop was the Sunny's kitchen, where he found Sanji, the crew's chef and S in all things related to love and romance. Sanji was in the midst of crafting what appeared to be an intricately decorated cake, likely another of his attempts to win Nami's favor. "Sanji!" Luffy burst in, barely containing his excitement. "I need your help. What should I do for Hancock at Blossomfall? You know, love stuff like you do for Nami." Sanji, momentarily startled by Luffy's sudden interest in romantic gestures, quickly donned his love cook persona. He set aside his baking, a serious look replacing his usual flirty demeanor. "Luffy, my man, you've come to the right place," Sanji declared, puffing out his chest. A conspiratorial air filled the kitchen as Luffy and Sanji huddled together, plotting and planning. The specifics of their scheme remained unspoken, a secret pact between captain and cook, but the excitement was palpable. They were about to embark on a mission of the heart, one that promised to weave the essence of Valentine's Day into an unforgettable experience. Sanji nodded, already listing the ingredients and preparations needed in his mind. "Leave it to me, Luffy. We'll give Hancock and Lucy a day they'll never forget." With a plan in motion and the promise of a romantic reunion on the horizon, Luffy left the kitchen, his spirits soaring. The course was set for Blossomfall, and with the help of his crew, he was ready to make this Valentine's Day a celebration of love and family. Days had sailed by since Luffy's enthusiastic planning with Sanji, the horizon finally bringing the awaited island into view in the early blush of dawn. Nami, vigilant as ever next to Jinbei who was at the helm, was the first to spot the lush outlines of Blossomfall Island, her keen eyes also catching the familiar silhouette of the Kuja ship anchored near the shore. Luffy, brimming with anticipation for the reunion with his family and eager to set his Valentine's Day surprise into motion, was practically vibrating with excitement. As the Thousand Sunny drew closer to the Kuja ship, Luffy didn't hesitate. With the precision and joy of one who knew no bounds, he used his rubber limbs to catapult himself across the water, landing with a soft thud on the deck of Hancock's ship. The Kuja warriors, initially startled by the sudden appearance of the Straw Hat Captain, quickly shifted from alarm to joy upon recognizing him. However, their smiles were tinged with caution as they hurriedly approached him with a hushed warning. "Luffy, please be quiet. The Empress is still asleep," they whispered, their respect for Hancock's rest evident in their urgent tones. Luffy, however, was too caught up in the whirlwind of his emotions and the thrill of the surprise he had in store. He couldn't grasp their concern. "She's my wife. I sleep with her and wake her up all the time. Why are they so worried about me waking her up now?" He puzzled internally, his mind not comprehending their apprehensive whispers. With a dismissive shake of his head, driven by the impatience and boldness that often accompanied his love for adventure and Hancock, Luffy darted towards the captain's quarters. The door creaked open to reveal Hancock, serene and beautiful, lost in the peaceful embrace of sleep. Unable to resist the magnetic pull of his heart, Luffy climbed into bed beside her. The sudden shift in the bed and the warmth of his familiar presence startled Hancock awake. Her eyes, a moment ago lost to dreams, flickered open in surprise, then softened with affection upon seeing her husband's grinning face. "Luffy," she murmured, a mix of sleep and surprise lacing her voice, her initial shock fading into the warmth of love and the silent laughter at his impetuousness. This was their life, unpredictable and filled with moments of unexpected joy, just like the man she loved. As Hancock's eyes adjusted to the dim light of dawn filtering through the cabin windows, she found Luffy's face inches from her own, his expression a blend of eagerness and tenderness. "Happy Valentine's Day, Hancock," he said, the words surprising even himself in their earnestness. The shock on Hancock's face was noticeable. Valentine's Day had always been an afterthought for Luffy, often remembered only through her reminders. This year, she had braced herself for a quiet day alone, not daring to hope for a celebration together, given their separate journeys. Hancock's heart swelled, a mixture of astonishment and delight washing over her. "Luffy, you remembered?" she whispered, her voice tinged with disbelief and affection. The idea that Luffy had not only remembered the day but had gone to such lengths to be with her, turned the morning into a moment she would treasure. Luffy's grin widened, and he nodded, a sense of pride in his achievement. On this day, dedicated to expressions of love, he wanted nothing more than to be close to Hancock, to show her in his way how much she meant to him. Without another word, Luffy wrapped his arms around Hancock, pulling her gently against him. The world outside their embrace faded, leaving only the warmth and quiet of their shared space. Hancock melted into the hug, her earlier surprise morphing into a deep contentment. With Luffy, actions always spoke louder than words, and this simple gesture was a profound declaration of his love. After a moment, Hancock lifted her head to meet Luffy's gaze, her eyes shining with unshed tears of happiness. She leaned in, pressing a soft, grateful kiss to his lips. A kiss that spoke volumes, filled with the love and appreciation that words could scarcely convey. "This is the best Valentine's Day already," she murmured against his lips, her voice barely audible. Luffy's response to Hancock's kiss and heartfelt declaration was a wide, joyous smile, his eyes reflecting the deep affection he held for her. "I want today to be special," Luffy said, his voice low and sincere, a rare moment of quiet introspection for the usually exuberant pirate. Their moment of tranquility, however, was soon to be shared. The door to the cabin creaked open, and in toddled Lucy, their 3-year-old daughter, rubbing sleep from her eyes with one hand and clutching a well-loved blanket with the other. Spotting her parents together, her face lit up with a sleepy delight. "Mama? Papa?" she exclaimed, her voice a soft chirp as she hurried over to the bed, her little legs carrying her as fast as they could. Luffy's gaze shifted from Hancock to Lucy, his heart swelling further with love at the sight of their daughter. "Hey, Luce," he greeted, his voice infused with warmth and excitement. He gently helped her up onto the bed, where she promptly nestled herself between her parents, turning the embrace into one that encompassed their entire little family. Lucy, now snugly sandwiched between her mother and father, looked up at them with eyes full of sleepy contentment. Hancock reached out, brushing a lock of hair from Luce's forehead, while Luffy chuckled softly, marveling at how their daughter had seamlessly woven herself into the fabric of their lives, making every moment richer. Luffy beamed down at Hancock and Lucy, his mind already racing ahead to the rest of the day's surprises. "I've got the whole day planned for us," he announced, his voice bubbling with excitement. "I have been planning something special. You'll love it. Meet me on the sunny, okay?" Hancock, who would have been more than content to spend the day cocooned in their shared warmth, couldn't help but be moved by Luffy's enthusiasm. His eagerness to make the day memorable for them was a gift in itself. "All right, Luffy. Give us a little time to get ready," she replied with a soft smile, her heart touched by his efforts. Lucy, catching onto her father's excitement even if she didn't fully understand the plans, clapped her hands joyfully. "Yay, Sonny," she cheered, her enthusiasm a mirror of Luffy's. With a quick nod, Luffy bounded out of bed, a whirlwind of motion as he prepared to launch himself back to the Thousand Sunny. "I'll go make sure everything's set up. Take your time, and I'll come back for you," he called over his shoulder, his voice filled with joy and family. In just a few minutes, Luffy was back on the Sunny, landing on deck with the grace unique to him. He made a beeline for the kitchen, where Sanji, the culinary heart of the crew, was putting the finishing touches on the special breakfast they had planned. "Sanji, is everything ready?" Luffy burst into the kitchen, his eyes scanning for signs of the feast they had discussed. Sanji, always the perfectionist, turned from his meticulous preparations, a look of focus shifting to one of pride. "Of course, Captain. You think I'd let you down on such an important day?" he replied, gesturing towards an array of dishes that combined the elegance of fine dining with the hearty touch befitting a pirate crew. Luffy's grin stretched even wider, if possible, his heart swelling with gratitude for his crew's support. "Thanks, Sanji. This is going to be the best Valentine's Day ever." As Sanji continued his preparations, Luffy took a moment to gaze out over the sea toward Blossomfall Island, his thoughts with Hancock and Lucy as they got ready. Today wasn't just about grand gestures or elaborate plans. It was about showing his family how much they meant to him, in the unique way that only Monkey D. Luffy could. The special breakfast aboard the Thousand Sunny was everything Hancock and Lucy could have hoped for and more. Sanji's culinary skills shone brightly as they savored each dish, the meal itself a testament to the love and care that had gone into its preparation. Luffy watched with a heart full of joy as Hancock and Lucy delighted in the feast, their laughter and smiles brightening the morning. After breakfast, the day transitioned seamlessly to a series of adventures on the spring island of Blossomfall. Luffy, ever the enthusiastic guide thanks to Nami's prepping, led Hancock through the island's stunning landscapes with Lucy securely on his shoulders. They played on serene beaches and discovered hidden spots that seemed to exist only for them. The island, with its vibrant flora and tranquil shores, provided the perfect backdrop for a day of family bonding. As the afternoon light began to soften in the hidden cove Luffy found, Lucy was engrossed in the art of sandcastle construction, her little hands shaping and molding the sand with enthusiastic diligence. Hancock, meanwhile, sought comfort in Luffy's embrace, settling herself onto his lap as they watched their daughter play. The warmth between them was evident, a silent testament to the depth of their connection. Luffy's arms encircled Hancock, pulling her closer, their conversation flowing easily, punctuated by shared laughter and tender glances. Eager to make the most of their time together before the evening plans unfolded, Luffy turned to Hancock and Lucy with a bright idea. "Why don't you both tell me what you'd like to do next? I want us to have fun." Hancock exchanged a thoughtful look with Lucy, contemplating their next activity. In the midst of their deliberation, Lucy's excitement could no longer be contained. Her excitement pierced the tranquil atmosphere. "I want chocolate." She gazed eagerly at her parents, her eyes alight with the hope of indulging in her sweet wish. Lucy's wish for chocolate hung in the air as a plan began to take shape in Luffy's mind. With a nod of agreement from Hancock, Luffy scooped Lucy up, placing her securely on his shoulders, where she sat like a tiny queen surveying her kingdom. Hancock walked beside them, Luffy's arm wrapped around her waist, drawing her close as they made their way back to the Thousand Sunny. As they strolled, Luffy's thoughts churned with the possibilities of Lucy's simple request. The idea of making chocolate, or more accurately, the prospect of taste testing an array of chocolates, appealed to him greatly. "Why don't we make our own chocolate? We can have Sanji show us how to do it. He can make anything," Luffy suggested, his voice laced with excitement and a barely concealed hope that he'd get to indulge in his favorite pastime, eating. The idea was met with enthusiasm, especially from Lucy, who clapped her hands in delight at the thought of crafting her very own treats. Hancock smiled at Luffy's suggestion, amused by his transparent desire to turn the activity into a tasting session. She appreciated his effort to weave fun and learning into their day, creating yet another memorable experience for their family. Sanji, after demonstrating the fine art of chocolate making with the flair of a seasoned chef, left Luffy, Hancock, and Lucy to their own devices, confident he had instilled in them the basics needed to create something delicious. Or at least edible. The kitchen of the Thousand Sunny had transformed into a bustling hub of creativity, laughter, and the rich, tempting aroma of melting chocolate. Hancock, ever the perfectionist, initially approached the task with a level of seriousness, determined to craft a masterpiece worthy of the occasion. Her focus, however, was quickly diverted towards Lucy, who, in her excitement, had managed to decorate her face and hands with more chocolate than what ended up in the molds. "Lucy, sweetheart, you're supposed to make the chocolates before you eat them," Hancock chided gently, her attempts at reprimand softened by the sight of her daughter's chocolate-covered grin. Meanwhile, Luffy, who had surprisingly started the process with an impressive level of concentration, soon found his resolve crumbling under the weight of his sweet tooth. The allure of the chocolate proved too strong, and he found himself sampling a bit of everything. "Hey, you have to test the ingredients to make sure they're good, right?" Luffy defended his actions with a cheeky grin, his voice muffled by a mouthful of chocolate. Hancock, turning to Luffy after wiping Lucy's face with a cloth, couldn't help but laugh at the sight. "I should have known better than to expect you two to actually make chocolates without eating half of the ingredients," she said, her tone teasing but fond. Lucy, now somewhat cleaner, giggled at her parents, her joy infectious. "It's yummy," she exclaimed, eagerly diving back into the chocolate-making process, which now seemed more about the taste than the end product. Seeing an opportunity for a sweet gesture amidst the chocolate chaos, Hancock leaned down to whisper in Lucy's ear, her eyes sparkling with an idea. "Lucy, how about we make a special chocolate treat just for your father? A surprise to show him how much we love him," she suggested, her voice low enough so only Lucy could hear. Lucy's eyes lit up at the idea, her previous endeavors momentarily forgotten. Nodding enthusiastically, she agreed, "Yes, for Daddy." Her excitement for the secret mission was palpable, and Hancock couldn't help but share in her daughter's enthusiasm. With Luffy blissfully distracted by his quality control duties, Hancock and Lucy set to work on their covert operation. Hancock carefully selected a few choice ingredients, guiding Lucy's small hands as they mixed together their concoction. They chose a mold that resembled the straw hat symbol, a fitting tribute to the man who wore it with such pride. As they worked, Hancock, using Sanji's method, taught Lucy how to temper chocolate, a delicate process that required patience and precision. Lucy watched, fascinated as her mother demonstrated the technique, her own attempts clumsy but earnest. Hancock's laughter rang out, light and carefree, as she helped Lucy correct her grip on the spatula, their teamwork a dance of learning and love. Luffy, who had been more focused on taste testing instead of making chocolate, noticed a slight heaviness in his stomach, a rare signal that he may have indulged a bit too much in the chocolate feast. Watching his girls work, a light bulb went off in his mind. He needed to make them something while they still had some chocolate left. With a newfound determination, Luffy decided to craft simple heart-shaped chocolates for Hancock and Lucy. He mused aloud, I'll make each one special, with their names on them. The idea seemed perfect. A personal touch. Hanji had left an array of molds and decorating tools at their disposal. Among them was a heart-shaped mold that seemed to call out to Luffy. He carefully melted some chocolate, his focus surprisingly sharp as he remembered Hancock's demonstration on tempering. The process was tricky, and his first few attempts were less than perfect, but Luffy's resolve didn't waver. With patience he rarely showed, Luffy filled the heart molds with the tempered chocolate, his tongue poking out in concentration. Once the chocolates had set, he took up a small piping bag filled with white chocolate. Writing with chocolate was harder than he anticipated, his first attempts at their names more squiggle than script. But Luffy persisted, and with each attempt, the letters began to take on a more recognizable form. Finally, after what felt like countless tries, Luffy managed to create 2 heart-shaped chocolates, each bearing the name of the most important women in his life: Hancock and Lucy. The final products were far from professional. Some letters were thicker, some wobbled, but they were made with all the love in Luffy's heart. The moment Luffy turned, presenting them with his handcrafted chocolates, his expression was one of earnest pride tinged with bashfulness at the rustic charm of his work. Hancock's eyes shimmered, deeply moved, while Lucy's delighted grin illuminated the room. "These are for you," Luffy declared, imbuing each word with tenderness, "because I love you both so much." The heartfelt simplicity of Luffy's offering, coupled with the genuine effort he poured into it, endowed the chocolates with an immeasurable value far surpassing anything that could be purchased. After they received Luffy's gift, Hancock turned to Lucy asking if she could get Luffy's gift. With equal parts excitement and love, they presented Luffy with their own creation, a chocolate shaped like the Straw Hat Pirate's Jolly Roger. The detail was incredible, a labor of love from the 2 most important people in Luffy's life. Lucy beamed up at her father, eager to see his reaction. "Here, Daddy." Luffy's reaction was instantaneous, his eyes widened in awe, taking in the meticulous craftsmanship of the chocolate emblem. A rush of emotion swept over him, pride, joy, and an overwhelming sense of love. "This is amazing," he exclaimed, cradling the chocolate as if it were treasure. "Thank you." Overwhelmed by gratitude for the thoughtful gift, Luffy couldn't resist pulling both Hancock and Lucy into a heartfelt embrace, drawing them close with the intention of conveying his boundless affection. In the flurry of the moment, the remnants of chocolate still clinging to Lucy's tiny hands found a new canvas on Hancock's face. The unexpected smudge of chocolate on her elegant features broke the solemnity of their embrace, eliciting a burst of laughter from both Lucy and Luffy. The sound of their laughter filled the kitchen, a melody more delightful to Hancock's ears than any song. Observing the chocolate adorning Hancock's face, Luffy's playful nature took over, an impish glint appearing in his eyes. "You got a little something," he teased, leaning in closer. Without a second thought, a move only Luffy would dare make, he planted a kiss on Hancock's cheek, right where the chocolate had made its mark. The act was as much about savoring the sweetness of the chocolate as it was about seizing an opportunity for an affectionate gesture, a unique expression of love in true Luffy fashion. Hancock, momentarily taken aback by the suddenness of the kiss, soon melted into him, the joy of the moment rendering any concerns about decorum irrelevant. Lucy, witnessing the playful exchange between her parents, clapped her hands in delight, her laughter joining theirs in a chorus of happiness. "Only you, Luffy," Hancock said, her voice warm with love and amusement. She wiped away the remaining chocolate with a finger, playfully admonishing him for his antics. Yet, her eyes sparkled with happiness, cherishing the spontaneity and love that Luffy brought into their lives. Under the soft glow of lights that Frankie had ingeniously set up, casting a gentle luminescence that mirrored the starlit sky. Luffy and Hancock found themselves in a serene world of their own. The dinner, a culinary masterpiece courtesy of Sanji, had been nothing short of spectacular, but it was the quiet moments that followed which held the true magic of the evening. With the remnants of their meal cleared away, Hancock snuggled closer to Luffy, seeking the warmth and comfort of his presence. The cool night air was filled with the delicate scent of cherry blossoms, enhancing the intimate atmosphere that surrounded them. "Luffy," Hancock began, her voice soft, carrying a mixture of contentment and a faint hint of melancholy. "I just want to stay like this forever. I know we both have our duties that keep us apart, but moments like these, they're what I cherish the most." Luffy wrapped his arm around her, pulling her even closer, his gaze affectionate as he looked down at her. "Hancock, I know it's tough. I feel it too," he said, his voice sincere. "But remember, no matter how far apart we are, we're always under the same sky. And I'll always come back to you." Hancock lifted her head to meet his gaze, her eyes reflecting the soft light that surrounded them. "Promise me, Luffy. Promise me that no matter what happens, you'll find your way back to me." "I promise, Hancock. You and Lucy are my world," Luffy affirmed, his words a vow that resonated with the depth of his feelings for her. "In every adventure, every battle, it's all for a future where we can be together, without any goodbyes." In the silence that follows, Luffy sensed the perfect opportunity to reveal the special gift he had found for Hancock earlier in the day. With a thoughtful expression, he reached into his pocket, his fingers wrapping around the small object he had carefully chosen for her. Gently, he drew out a delicately carved cherry blossom pendant, its craftsmanship exquisite, a testament to the artisan's skill and the natural beauty of Blossomfall Island. The pendant, carved from the wood of a cherry blossom tree that flourished on the island, bore the intricate likeness of a sakura flower. Within its center, embedded light pink jewels, reminiscent of the cherry blossoms themselves, caught the ambient light, casting a soft glow that mirrored the surrounding petals. Holding the pendant out to Hancock, Luffy watched her face, hoping she would understand the depth of affection and thought he had put into this gesture. "I saw this today, and it made me think of you," he said, his voice carrying a mix of earnestness and a slight uncertainty, wanting desperately for her to appreciate the sentiment. "I wanted you to have something beautiful from today, something that reminds you of this place, of us." The pendant dangled from his hand, swaying slightly in the evening breeze, its beauty a silent declaration of Luffy's feelings. A gift not just of material value, but of memories and moments shared. A symbol of their enduring connection despite the vast seas that often lay between them. Overwhelmed by the depth of Luffy's gesture, the significance of the moment and the joy of the day, Hancock found herself momentarily speechless. Moved by his thoughtfulness and the affection behind his actions, Hancock acted on a surge of heartfelt gratitude and love. Without a word, she closed the distance between them, her hands gently pressing against Luffy's chest, guiding him back until they were both on the soft, petal-covered ground beneath the cherry blossom trees. The world around them seemed to pause, the only sounds the rustle of the sakura petals in the gentle night breeze. Then with a passion fueled by the day's tender moments and the intensity of her feelings, Hancock kissed Luffy. The kiss was deep, impassioned, and unrestrained, a reflection of their unique bond and the strength of the emotions shared between them. Luffy, taken by surprise but quickly responding with equal fervor, wrapped his arms around Hauser, fully immersing himself in the kiss. The connection between them, always strong, seemed to ignite under the night sky, surrounded by the serene beauty of Blossomfall Island. When they finally parted, breathless and with hearts racing, Hancock and Luffy shared a look that spoke volumes. In that moment, under the soft glow of the lanterns and the ethereal beauty of the cherry blossoms, their love for each other was reaffirmed, stronger and more profound than ever. The pendant, now resting against Hancock's heart, was not just a gift but a promise of enduring love, of shared futures, and of always finding their way back to each other, no matter what the world threw their way. Hancock found herself not ready to let go of the moment, of him. The thought of parting ways, even if only for a while, cast a shadow over her heart. She sought to capture and extend the magic of the night, to hold on to Luffy just a little longer. "Luffy, stay with me tonight," Hancock whispered, her voice a blend of longing and vulnerability, "before we have to go our separate ways tomorrow. I need you here, with me." Luffy, looking into Hancock's eyes, saw the depth of her request. A simple plea not just for his presence, but for the comfort and assurance it brought. "Of course, Hancock. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else," he answered, his words wrapping around her like a warm embrace. They made their way to Hancock's bed, a sanctuary of soft linens and gentle shadows. There, amidst the quietude of the night, they found solace in each other's arms, exchanging soft kisses and tender caresses, each touch a reaffirmation of their bond. The world outside faded into insignificance as they cherished these moments of closeness, these fleeting instants where they could simply be together, free from the duties and distances that awaited them. As the night deepened, their Valentine's Day celebration was quietly interrupted by the soft pattering of little feet. Lucy stood at the doorway, her eyes sleep-ridden. Despite their efforts to tuck her in and ensure a night of sweet dreams, she had ventured out, drawn by an innate desire to be close to her parents. "Can I stay here?" Lucy mumbled, her small voice filled with sleep and a yearning for the comfort of her parents' presence. Hancock and Luffy couldn't help but smile, their hearts swelling at the sight of their daughter. Without hesitation, Luffy scooped Lucy up, tucking her between them, enveloping her in their warmth and love. "Happy Valentine's Day," Hancock and Luffy whispered together, their voices soft but filled with joy. Lucy, snuggled securely in the embrace of her parents, echoed their sentiments in her childlike manner. "Happy Valentine's Day," she attempted, her pronunciation endearing and heartfelt. Their laughter filled the room, a gentle sound that mingled with the night's whispering breezes. This Valentine's Day, with its simple joys and profound moments, would be etched in their memories forever, a testament to their love, their family, and the promise of countless tomorrows together.